Alright, so in this problem I asked you to factor and solve. In the very beginning you should recognize that it's only set up for factoring right now. The reason why you can't solve this is because you only solve equations. Class, do you see an equal sign? It's okay to add one later on. But right now we're going to factor and then we'll use a zero product rule. In this problem, I recognize that if you broke them back into factors, which we did earlier, you should have recognized that my greatest common factor is 3 in the x. And you're left with just x minus 4. To factor this, your answer is 3x times quantity x minus 4. Raise your hand if you got that. Okay, let's just say you didn't see the greatest common factor, but I just did here, okay? Here, I would add a 0, so that means your a value is 3, your b value is negative 12, and your c value is 0. Do you see that? So let's go ahead and use my x in my box. Let's pretend you weren't here yesterday, you were absent. Class, what two letters go on the top? A times c. A times c is, and my b value is negative 12. I need two numbers that multiply to be 0, but they add to be negative 12. What two numbers? What is it? Negative 12 and 0. Okay. Now, here is a common mistake. Students think then I would just write those two numbers here. Okay, this is wrong. The reason why this is wrong is if you FOIL or multiply or distribute to check your answer, class, what's x times x? It's x squared, not 3x squared. Do you see that? So here we have to use your box. If you're confused, when do I use the x and when do I use the x and the box? I would just say use both all the time when it's factorable. So let's do the box. Always in the top left goes which term? The whole first term. Let's write that. 3x squared. Class, what goes in the bottom right? Always. The c value. You write 0. And then you're going to write your red ones here. Make sure to add an x. Let's see if we get the same answer. Class, what is the greatest common factor of this direction? 3x. Pay attention. What's your greatest common factor of this direction? Remember, that's 0 times an x, so they have an x. This is x times x, so this would be x. Greatest common factor here? I can write plus 0. Is that okay? And this direction? Ah, someone said negative 4. So here, this is just like area. You multiply to get area. So class, what's 3x times x? 3x squared. 0 times x? 0x. 3 times negative 4? Negative 12x. 0 times negative 4? 0. Do you see how that's the same? 3x plus 0 and x minus 4. We've just factored. Let's now solve. I don't want to really write that plus 0. It's not needed. And to solve, I'm just going to set it equal to 0. Now I'm going to apply the zero product rule, yesterday's lesson. 3x equals 0. X minus 4 equals 0. If you divide by 3 on both sides, x is equal to 0. And if you add 4 on both sides, x is equal to 4. My answers for this problem are 0 and 4. Raise your hand if you got that. Okay? Let's do the second one. The first one was not a trinomial. I had to add a 0. This one is a trinomial. Class, what's your a value? Remember, if you get stuck, write the standard form below it. So, a is 4. B value? C value? Let's do my X in my box. Class, A times C? B value? Two numbers that multiply to be positive 4, but add to be negative 4. Echo? Negative 2 and negative 2, right? Those multiply to be positive, and then those add to be negative. Bottom left, top right. Class, what do I put here? First term. And here. Always put the C value of 1. Did you guys notice how I did less scaffolding on the second problem? I didn't color code it for you. I didn't write A and C and D there. Do you see that? You don't need to show all this for your work. Class, what's the GCF here? GCF this way. 2x. What's the greatest common factor here? And this direction. Negative 1. Let's check by multiplying. 2x times 2x. Negative 1 times 2x. 2x times negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1. Positive 1. Our answer is 2x minus 1 times quantity 2x minus 1 equals 0. Now normally we would write this twice, and I'll show you that actually for today's lesson, but I just want you to solve this. 0 product rule, set it equals 0. Now we're doing the solve part. And it's basically the same problem, isn't it? I just have to do it once. Add 1 to both sides. Go slow here. A lot of students make some basic mistakes. I have 2x equals 1. What do I do next? Is x equal 2? No, common mistake. X equals 1 over 2, which is 1/2. And if you did the same thing over here, you actually have the same answer twice. Does that make sense? It's because it's the same exact thing. Now, normally we wouldn't write the answer twice, but this is the reason why it's called a double root. So in this problem, I tell you factor and solve. If it's factorable, factor it, and to solve it, set it equal to 0. In this problem, it didn't have a C value. You can add 1, or you can just take out the greatest common factor, which would have been the faster way. This one, we had to use both the X and the box.
I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you?